Good afternoon, everybody. This is Richard Shelp with Executive Speakers Bureau, and today is the day. Our workplace experts, Hannah Ubl and Lisa Walden, are releasing their book, The Future of Work is Human, today. And in order for them to give you just a little bit of feeling about the book, they're going to read a couple of little excerpts from the book for you guys today. So I'm going to turn it over to Hannah and Lisa, and Hannah will be reading first. So Hannah, if you would, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Richard. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be reading from the introduction of our book, The Future of Work is Human. And this really sets the stage for the book. The section is entitled A Whole New World of Work. And you can sing that to yourself if you want to. All right. With the pandemic years, we saw a long, flawed work system put to the test, and under the pressure, much of the structure buckled. Previously held assumptions had to be thrown out the window as organizations embraced rapid change and dynamic decision-making in a bid to weather the storm. We were all swept along on that roller coaster of change. Companies shifted from in-person work to remote, then switched to hybrid or full-time, back to the office, and sometimes back again, trying to adapt quickly to each new condition. They were pushed to re-examine expectations around employee productivity, standards for good communication, and which leadership characteristics they really wanted to uphold. The pandemic years also jolted people out of autopilot, and they began to seriously consider what they were willing to sacrifice for a job or career. And because this movement was about so much more than quitting your job, we call it the Great Reassessment, a term coined by journalist Heather Long. Regardless of the phrase you use to describe it, there is no question that we witnessed a shift in the balance of power at work from the employer to the employee. People demanded change, and their conviction was palpable in where they chose to work or where they chose not to work. This period tangibly shifted not just how work works, but also how people think work should work. This marked an inflection point in our communal professional history. The future of work is human. That's what we see at the other end of this portal that we are in. It is our dream for what the future of work can and should look like. It's a world where people are valued as individuals, motivated to meet their potential, and celebrated for their unique contributions. It's one where the Sunday scaries are rare, people feel supported by their colleagues and leaders, and sentiments like, I really enjoy my work, job, company are the new norm. It's one where people can look back at the 90,000 hours spent at work with peace and maybe even pride, knowing that for the most part, it was time well spent. It's a work world that unwaveringly puts people first.
Wow. I love it. Great introduction. Great introduction. Well, let me ask you a quick question, Hannah, about it, because you mentioned in there big workplace shifts due to the pandemic. So what are the most important ones for a leader to consider so that they stay competitive for talent now and in the future?
It's such a good question. I mean, the book goes into every single shift you can imagine. I will say two of the biggest shifts that we're seeing that are really important is, first and foremost, leaders need to lead with compassion first. And we have an entire chapter dedicated to this called Leading with Compassion No Matter Your Role. But what we really find is important is that people are currently looking to leaders who will value them as human beings, who will understand their wants, needs, and perspectives, and put that over productivity, put that over success of the company. And while that might sound kind of counterintuitive, of course, when you're taking care of your people, that's actually what helps you ultimately take care of the bottom line. And the pandemic years really caused a massive shift in how people were having this conversation around what they want from leaders. So I'd say leaders, you have to be compassionate. And then the other really important piece I'll talk about is that leaders need to understand that all people are looking for in understanding their humanness at work is flexibility. Many times there's so many other pieces and components that people are looking at, and they're trying to piece together. It's like hybrid, work from home, remote, like all these different pieces. And really people just want to be understood that because we're humans, our lives are messy, and a work environment and leaders who understand that and allow people to flex their work schedule with their life schedule. Those are the kinds of environments where people want to work. And those are the kinds of leaders who are successful. So I'd say those are two of the biggest shifts that are important. And of course, there's so many details about how to do this within the book itself.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I would love to work in a place that has those two things, by the way, just so you know.
I'm sure you already have that, Richard, in some capacity.
If only you had a compassionate leader.
There you go. There you go. Well, that takes us to Lisa. Lisa, you have a little excerpt from the book that you're going to read too as well, correct?
Yes, that's right. So I'm going to dig into one of the shifts that Hannah mentioned, which is compassionate leadership. In our interviews as research and prep for writing this book, we asked almost everyone we spoke to, what are you getting out of your leaders? What do you wish you'd received more of? And across the board, they said, the leaders who had been kind and compassionate, that was something that they had really valued. The leaders who had honored their humanity in a time of great uncertainty and fear. And those who really, led the same way they'd always led, had focused on productivity over everything else. Those were the ones that the employees felt they had not been, they had been let down by in some capacity. So that compassion piece we see as being extremely important moving forward for a whole number of reasons, but I'll stop talking and jump into the passage here. So from Lead with Compassion, no matter your role. Make compassionate leadership an action. A quick note about what compassionate leadership is not. Compassionate leadership is not about kids' glove management. It is not about sugarcoating feedback, letting people walk all over you, avoiding tough conversations, and letting employees with toxic behavior or consistently poor results linger. It is about helping everyone at work see the shared humanity in one another. It's about leaders offering support, kindness, encouragement to help employees maximize their potential in a measured, balanced way. It's about having the courage to be direct but kind in feedback, saying no with love, yes, love, inviting self-feedback, even no, especially when it's hard to hear, and being open to growth and change. Far from a soft laissez-faire approach to leading, compassionate leadership is really hard. It requires a high degree of emotional intelligence and deep self-awareness. Speaking of which, we've identified 3 cornerstones to a compassionate leadership approach, each of which builds off the other. First is self-awareness and self-compassion. Secondly is awareness of and compassion for others. Thirdly is inspiring people to action. And from there, we go on to break down what each of those cornerstones looks like in action.
Awesome. Awesome. I love the focus on the compassion there. It's great that you guys have a chapter that's dedicated to it. Compassion has always kind of been considered, though, a soft skill. But clearly, from your reading, it is not one. So why is that such an important message?
Yeah, the soft skill framing, I don't know, I've that's never really resonated with me. I don't know why we break it down into hard and soft skills. I mean, I guess it helps as a category, but it's the soft skills are the harder ones, right? I think the hard skills, quote unquote, are in some ways more, let's say, linear, easier to pick up in certain ways, whereas soft skills require a degree of emotional intelligence, of understanding, of contextualizing information. And it can a little bit be like an art. We say this in the book, leadership is not, we're not giving you a prescribed, even with these cornerstones, one way of showing up as a leader. You have to be authentic to yourself and find, how do I bring my strengths as a leader and apply those strengths to these 3 cornerstones. So it's a soft skill, I suppose, in that, it is more of that art. But when it comes to leaders that really stick in people's minds, that in a presentation, when we ask people, come think about the leader that made the most impact in your life. What were their qualities? How did they show up? How did they inspire you? Those are the leaders who connected, not just on a, strict kind of boss-like level, but the ones who connected on a human level. And it's being able to connect on that human level with compassion, with kindness, with accountability as well, because it's 2 sides of the same coin. Those are the leaders that are really resonating most with their employees and being successful towards recruiting and retaining, which is something all of our clients are saying that they're struggling with. So that soft skill is a bonus that I honestly can't put a value on. It's incredible to see it at play in the workplace.
It is incredible to hear what you guys already have to say about the book. There's such great things in the book, and you've only read just a little bit from it. It's fantastic. So, let's just one little word from you guys about the book before we move on. Anything you guys want to say real quick?
Yeah, I'll just jump in and say we're super excited. We talked today about compassionate leadership, but I really want to stress the point that this was not written just for leaders. This was written for everyone in the workplace. We joke it's for friends, it's for frenemies, it's for the intern, to the leader, the CEO. It's written in a way where we really want to make sure that everyone has tools to affect change within their sphere of influence. So it is truly not just a leadership book. It is for everyone, and everyone is a leader in their own capacity. We also wrote it in a way where, we want people to easily digest it. So it is 300 plus pages, but it does not have to be read from cover to cover. It's supposed to be a kind of choose your own adventure. So you can jump in and grab a piece from, the perfectionism chapter or the empathetic communication chapter as needed.
Mm-hmm. And adding to that piece of it just being relatable, I mean, the people who have already started reading this, I will say they're like, whoa, I was just reading the intro and I was feeling some things. Like, this is kind of hitting on everything I'm thinking and everything I'm feeling. And that's something we heard from people who edited this in the process. Like, this is really meant to be something that speaks to what people are experiencing right now at work. So guaranteed, if someone is struggling with something, whether it be leadership, communication, like whatever it is, hopefully our hope is that this book has some answers for you to make work a little bit better.
Perfect. Ladies, great book. I can already tell. And for all of you guys, again, it's The Future of Work is Human is the name of the book. And that beautiful book you can purchase right now on Amazon. Right now you can get that. So go out, buy this wonderful book, and you can affect your future of work. Thank you so much, Hannah and Lisa, and thank you for the wonderful book.
Thank you.